Kaf Nun Beis Amud Beis, 6 lines from the top. We learned previously that Isa ben Yehuda said that in the Torah, as opposed to the Nevi'im and Ksuvim, in the Torah there's only 5 psukim where we have a suffix if a certain word belongs to the first part of the pasuk or the second part of the pasuk. In fact, the Gemara of the Raisa Leka in the Torah, there are no other cases. So is that so? The Raisa Leka va'ika the boy Rav Chisda. You have another case which is Rav Chisda's shaila. It says in the pasuk Vayishlach esnar bnei Yisrael v'yal oilas kavasim. It says that he sent the Nari bnei Yisrael to bring up korbanos. They sent them up. This is by Matan Torah to be makriv korbanos. So it says Vayishlach esnar bnei Yisrael v'yalu oilas. They were makriv oilas. So they value oilas, and it says v'yizbchu zvachim shlomim lashem parim. So the question is, he had a shaila, where do you read the parim? Does the parim go only on the end of the pasuk, v'yizbchu zvachim shlomim lashem parim, or does it go on the first part of the pasuk as well, that vayalu oilas? So therefore he had a shaila. It says vayishlach esnar bnei Yisrael vayalu oilas, which means kvasim, lambs, and vayizchu zvachim shlomim lashem parim, and shlomim, which were parim, is not the pshat in the pasuk, oidil me'id v'idi parim, or maybe the parim is going back on the first part of the pasuk, and not only the shlomim, but the oilas were also parim. So that is the shaila on how to read the pasuk. The Meforshim have the question over here. They are bothered by this, because this l'chera is something that's not negeya l'halacha. What's it negeya? It's negeya on something that happened at that point in history. So why is it negeya? Which part of the pasuk is referring to? So Rashi explains that the question is how to pronounce it. How to pronounce it? Where do you put the esnachta? To when you say if it's 2 parts of the pasuk, if it's separated, then you put the esnachta on by oilas. Then it would be oilas, and it would be a stop, and then you would say and pause, and then before you read it together, you wouldn't read before you read the second part of the pasuk. Rather, you would not read it all together. If it's going on both parts of the psukim, then you say Vayishlach esnar bnei Yisrael vayal oilas vayizbchu zvachim shlomim lashem parim. You wouldn't have a pause. You wouldn't have the esnachta. But if the parim is going only on the latter part of the pasuk, you'd say Vayishlach esnar bnei Yisrael vayal oilas, pause, esnachta, vayizbchu zvachim lashem parim, vayizbchu zvachim shlomim lashem parim. So Al Kol Panim, Rav Chisda had that shaila. So why are you telling me there's only 5 cases? There's just 6 cases. I have more answers. Rav Chisda Masafkale, Isa ben Yehuda. It was a suffix to Rav Chisda, but Isa ben Yehuda, he did not have this suffix. For him, the answer was clear. We don't know what he held, but for him, the answer over here was clear. He did not have a suffix. Dr. Mishnah, proof minador. So we learned previously that according to some shitas, there were two mechitzes, there were 2 curtains that you had the pareches, there were 2 that spread out, they're separating, and there was an outer one and an inner one. The chitzayna, the outer one, the outer curtain, haya proof min adarm. The opening of it was in the south. So there was 2 curtains, there was an opening in the south, and as we said before, he entered from the south, he went between the curtains, and then there was another opening in the north, and he entered into the Kodesh Kadoshim from that one in the north. So the Chitzayna, the outer parayches, was proof it was opened from Min Adorm, Pnimis Min Hatzofim. And the Pnimis Min Hatzofim, it seems to be a Machlek Rishonim, if it was opened, it was permanently pinned open, or that, according to the Taisus Rid, that was not covered to have it permanently open. It was closed, but it had hooks, and for Yom Kippur, they removed the hooks and had it opened specifically for Yom Kippur. So the Kohen Gadol, he comes from the south, according to the Shita, Mahalach Beinayim Achemegil Tzofin. He enters on the south, the other one on the south. He walks between the curtains till he gets to the north, and then he enters from the north. Hashem Megillah Sofa. Then he Gilad Sofa and he comes to the north. Then he comes into the Kodesh Kadoshim, and Haifech Panav L'Dorm. And then he comes into the Kodesh Kadoshim. He enters the area into the Kodesh Kadoshim, and then he faces south. He faces south because he has to come into the middle of the area. He has to come between the badim, between the poles of the Aron. So he comes to the north, and he enters into the Kodesh Kadoshim, and he turns south to come into the area between the poles, between the bottom. So he's Haifech Panav L'Dorm Mahalach L'Smola Ima Paraychas. So when he does this, the Paraychas is to his east. He's coming from the south, goes between the curtains, between the Paraychas, enters on the north, enters the Kodesh Kadoshim. He comes to the middle of the area to Bein Habadim of the Aron, so he has to come in the middle of the area. He turns to the south, he's coming south, and therefore, as he's turning south, the Paraychas is to his left. The Paraychas is to his left. So Mahalach L'Smal Ima Paraychas Achim Magil Aron, until he gets to the area between the poles of the Aron. He gets to the Aron, then he puts the shovel of coals between the two poles. So he puts it over there because he's now going to burn the Keteros. The Avodah of burning the Keteros. Sover has the Keteros Lagabi Gecholim. He makes a pile of the Keteros on top of the coals. V'nismala kol habayis kol ha'ashen. And the whole bias, the Kodesh Kadoshim, was filled with smoke. He left and he exits the same way he entered, meaning he comes in, now he finishes, he puts the Keteros on the coals, and the smoke comes up. He walks backwards, so he goes back the same way he came in. He doesn't turn around, because if he turns around, then his back will be facing the Aron, which is not Derech Kavod. So therefore, he backs away, and he exits. So this explains that to come in backwards to do something backward, do an avodah backwards, would be possible. That would be not the normal way of doing an avodah. So he comes in the normal way, but when he exits, he's not doing the avodah. He exits Derech Kavod. So it is the proper way. It is normal, like a Rebbe, the Talmud rather, that's departing from his Rebbe, that he backs away. And therefore, that's the proper way he did it. So therefore, he's also bala b'derech beis knisosa umispal tefillah ksar b'beis achitzan, and then he says a short tefillah in the beis achitzan, in the heichal, in the kodesh. But he didn't say a lengthy tefillah. Shaloi lahavis es Yisrael, not to scare the people. We'll see in the Gemara what the fright might be. So look to Gemara, but my Askina, and which Beis HaMikdash are we talking about? It said there was two curtains, there was two paraychas, the outer and the inner. Which Beis HaMikdash? Ilaim b'Mikdash Rishon. If you say the first one, Mihave paraychas, was our paraychas over there? There was the Amatraksin, there was the stone wall. Not the paraychas. Ela b'Mikdash Sheni. Perhaps you'll say we're talking about the Mikdash Sheni. Then, if that's the case, Mihave Aron, was there an Aron in the Mikdash Sheni? V'hatanya, we was taught in the Baraisa mission, Nignas Oran, when the Aron was hidden away. At the end of the Kufa of the first Beis HaMikdash, the Aron was hidden. When it was hidden, Nignas Imai, it was hidden with it, since Senes Haman, the jar of man, right, the man that came that Bnei Israel had in the Midbar, it was preserved, a portion of it was preserved in a jar. That was there as well, was also hidden. With Sluchas Shemen HaMishcha, and the flask of Shemen HaMishcha that Moshe Rabbeinu made to be Meshach, the Kalim and Aaron and Bonav, and that was used to do the Mashiach for the kings. Umakla shel Aaron Ashkedo Pracha, and the Makal, the staff, the stick of Aaron, with the Shkedim and the Prochim, the almonds and the blossoms, that at the time of the Machlekes of Adas Kairach, that Hashem made that nace, that all the sticks were placed over there. The one that was Parach, that was blossomed, that had almonds, was the Simon, he was chosen from Hashem, and it was the Makil of Aaron. V'arga sheshiga plishtim doron lekei Yisrael, and the box that the plishtim sent as a present to Hashem, when the Aron was captured. The Aron was captured, and the plishtim took it. They captured the Aron. They had all kind of plague, and with hemorrhoids, and they had sickness and misa, and they had that plague, and they sent it back. So then they sent it back. They sent the Aron back, and they sent with it a present, and they sent a present with it, and that present was put next to the Aron. So the Arga Sheshiga Plishim Doron Lekei Yisrael, the box that had the present that was sent to Lekei Yisrael, Shenemar Veis Klei Hazav Asher Hashem Voisam Loi Asham, and the box of we had the Kalim of Zav that were returned as an Asham to forgiveness for the guilt. Tasima Bargas, put it in a box mitzirai. So the Kalim of Zav were put in a box and were put at the side of the Aron. V'shilach T'moisav V'halach, and send it, and it will go and send it with the Aron, and send it back to Klal Yisrael. So all of these things, they were hidden. At the time that they hid the Aron, they hid all of these other things as well. Umi, and also, who hid it? Who hid the Aron? It was Yoshio, and also Yoshio Melech. The king Yoshio hid it. Ma Rosh Hagon. So what did he see? What caused him to hide it? Rosh caused him. It says he saw that it was written. What did he see that it was written? He was doing the repairs in the base of Mikdash, the Berakabayas. So he was Yoshia Melech was a great tzaddik, notwithstanding the fact that his grandfather were Rishoim. He was a great tzaddik. He did repairs to the base of Mikdash, and he saw a Megillah. He found the Megillah, and he opened it up, and it was written to the pasuk and the Torah that says, that Hashem will lead you and your king and to Golas, to a nation that you never knew. So he knew that there would be a Golas, and therefore he did not want it to be taken and be into the hands of the enemy. So he didn't want to end up in Babel. So what did he do? He Amad Uganaza, he hid it. He said to Leviim, who taught all God's Yisrael, who taught them, and were Kodesh L'Hashem, he said to as Aaron HaKodesh, B'bayis Asher Bana Shlomo ben Dovid Melech Yisrael. He said, put the Aaron HaKodesh in the house, in the base of Mikdash, that Shlomo Melech built. Ein lachem masa v'kosav, you have no longer any responsibility to carry it. Now serve Hashem and serve the Klal Yisrael. So Rashi explains that he said to put it in the base of Mikdash. What do you mean? It isn't. The Aron was in the base of Mikdash. What does it mean to put it in the base of Mikdash? So therefore, what it means is to hide it in the base of Mikdash. There was a secret chamber, and the Rambam explains that Shlomo Melech built that he knew that there would be a Golas. He built a secret chamber. He said, hide the Aron in the secret compartment. So that was the Aron. Rabbi Elazar says, and we can learn to the other cases as well. Also, Shama Shama, we have Gzera Shava, Shama Shama. We have Gzera Shava that it says that it's Shama Shama. By the Aron it says Shama, and in the Mon it also says Shama. So therefore we can apply it to the Mon. Also Dairis, it says Dairis. It says that the Mon it says by the Mon that it's a safekeeping L'Dairis, and it says by the Shem and Mishcha that it's L'Dairis Eichem, that it says Dairis Eichem, so it says that the Mon should be a Mishmeres L'Dairis Eichem. It says it by also the Shem and Mishcha L'Dairis Eichem. We can learn out the Shem and the Mishcha. Also Mishmeres, and it says Mishmeres. It says Gzera Shava that the Mon should be the Mishmeres. It should be a mishmeres, and it says the Gabi the Matev Aron. It also says la mishmeres, so we can learn out in all of these cases that it was hidden, and all together with the Aron that it was hidden away. Tais Rishonim asks the question: why do we need the Gzera Shava? It says in the pasuk says Vayanicheo. It says Yechera Aron. It says Vayanicheo Aron lifnei edus. So it says by the Matev that it was placed before the edus. So it's mashma that the mata has to be by the Aron. if the mata has to be by the Aron, if they hid the Aron, that means you have to hide the mata as well. So he answers that he might have thought lifnei ha'edus doesn't mean mamish next to it. It doesn't mean it just means in close proximity. That no, it always has to be mamish next to it. It has to be next to it. Therefore, the question remains: where are we talking over here? It says that he came and there was the paroichas, and then he said he put the keteres by the Aron. Well, if it was the Mikdash Rishon, there wasn't the paroichas, there was Amatrax. If it was the Mikdash Sheni, there was no Aron. More answers, Laila b'Mikdash Sheni, it's talking Mikdash Sheni, Mahi Gil Aron. When it says he came to the Aron, what does it mean? Makam Aron. It doesn't mean the physically the Aron. It's a place where the Aron once stood. I vaktan in nosan as ha machta lifnei levein shnei abanim. It said he put the shovel coals between the two poles. Our answer is Ema Kivein Shnei Abanim. It means in the area which was the same area as was between the two poles. But it's a Mikdash Sheni, there wasn't an Aron and there weren't the poles. So the Mishnah continued and said, he piled up the keteres on the coals. Tanakaman Domer Seira. That's going, our Tan is going to the Man Domer who says Seira that he put it in a heap, he piled it up, as opposed to the other Tana who says that he spread it out. He didn't put it in a mound, he spread it out. Our Tana is going the one who says Seivra. Tanichad was Tana Bryce said Seivra Penima Shich Hutzla. It says the way he spread the keteres was he put the keteres on the side that's closest to the Aron HaKodesh, which was furthest away from him. So if the Aron is here, he put it further from him. He started to spread it on the coals, going from closer to the Aron, away from the Aron, closer to himself. That's the way he did it. So that's Tanechar. Tanya Yirach, the other one says, that he started spreading it away from the Aron, closer to himself, and then went closer to the Aron as he moved along. So that's the way he did it. Omar Abaya says, Tanoi. It's a machlekes Tanoi. It's machlekes Tanoi, meaning what's the pshat? I mean, always seems to be a machlekes. I mean, it says it is a machlekes. You can't reconcile it. It is a machlekes. V'Amar Abaye says Mistaber command Amar Penim Mashiach Hutzalei. It's Mistaber the one who says that he starts closest to the Aron, which is furthest from himself, and starts to come close to himself. Why is that? They teach him, they instruct him. He's Zohar, be careful with the keteres. That don't begin burning it in front of yourself, because if you start closer to yourself and as you move along, well, you put the keteres on the coals, it's starting to burn and the smoke comes up, and as you're moving along and putting your hand over there, then his hand will get burned. So therefore they say, be careful that you should not begin to burn it right in front of you. Start away from you, close to the Aron, away from you, and you're coming close to you, so as the smoke comes up, you're moving away from the smoke, and then you don't burn your hand. So therefore it's a raya to this mandomer who says he starts further away from himself and closer to the Aron, and then he comes closer to himself.